we're going to skip the intro this morning. How are ya? Welcome to Spill the Immunity. I'm here with Alex and Brandon, and we're going to recap all the fun stuff. Guys, what about that episode last night? Alex, start us off.
That episode was brutal. I mean, in a good way. I mean, Genevieve emerged. She finally talked on Survivor, and it was a big move. Biggest move of the season. Whoa, Brandon.
What, guys?
What?
Nothing happened.
That's really funny.
Nothing happened at all.
He literally just did that. We saw it before we went live. We didn't see this.
I've just been sitting here by the well.
That's really funny.
Nothing's wrong.
That's really your funny. Hands too.
No, nothing's wrong over here. I'm just, wow. I'm tired. You know,
are you sure? I mean, you look
I have
like
the machete. Do you have the machete?
That was awesome. That was awesome. We'll get to that part. Yes. But that was incredible.
That's awesome, Brandon. Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you even? I mean, that's So amazing episode, fun episode. Sue. So Brandon is looking like Sue right now at the well. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
No,
but I love it. What do you? Obviously, you liked it too, Brandon.
I loved it. These are the Survivor moments I live for, and this is going to be a moment that I think is going to be played for years to come. Survivor 47, they're hitting it out of the park. I think this is maybe a hot take. It's a little bit early in the season, but this is my favorite new era season yet.
Wow.
Is it too early? Maybe to say that, but the gameplay, I love it. I love it. I'm a Sue fan for life. Isn't she on your team, Alex?
Yeah.
Speaking of teams, Bree.
Oh, yeah. I know. I watched it last night. I said, oh, I'm good. I'm golden. I'm okay this week. Woo, I can relax. I don't have to worry. Nope. One person left on my draft team. One person left. That's it.
Sweet Caroline.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead. Caroline did make kind of an interesting connection with Teenie. I mean, the Andy connection, she kind of throw that one out. But, now Teenie's on her own, and she, that we were talking about that, Blue with Gabe and Caroline and Sue, they're pretty tight. That's pretty good alliance. And so you might see Teenie. And so maybe there's hope for you is what I'm saying, Bree.
Yeah, there might be. I'm really hoping, but I'm going to snag those 2 extra players. When my team is demolished completely, I'm just going to be rooting for Saul and Sam, though. I don't know. Saul had some interesting moves this week, but we saw something out of the gate. We saw the breadwinners come together. What do you guys think about? Is that really even an alliance, or are we all just pretending and kidding ourselves?
This episode was so all over the place, and so it's really hard to talk about because so much is happening at this point, including this Breadwinners Alliance. Now, keep in mind, the last alliance we had in Survivor was the 6 that Q came up with that went absolutely nowhere. They didn't even vote together once. I'm going to piggyback off your question, Bree, and kind of return that and say, is the Breadwinner Alliance going to be able to vote even once together? Or does the Sierra Sam relationship hinder them from doing anything, since Sam, he is right by saying that if Andy does leave, he really has to trust 3 girls. So my question to you guys back at you is, does the Breadwinner Alliance vote together for 1 vote?
I probably not. I don't think so. But Sam's rapping might have, destroyed that relationship or any credibility that they had in the tribe. So that I was really looking. I was like, damn, he's a good player. Oh wow, he's a smart. I don't know. Rapping on national television with those type of
on Survivor has never worked.
Right, you had like 20 years to maybe write something and fake a freestyle. Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. Hard start to the episode.
Mac. He is no Harry Mack, that's for sure. If you don't know who Harry Mack is, you should go Google him right now. He's all over Facebook and YouTube, and he is that guy that can do that unbelievably. He asks for 3 words, and he'll put those random 3 words into anything that he's putting out. He's amazing. Sam, no, sorry. It was I guess, entertaining a little bit. Was it as good as a Taylor Metallica riff off thing? No, not as entertaining as that. I thought that those guys had that last year with, who knows all the Taylor Swift songs. I mean,
Right.
that's gonna hold it. So find something new, find your own thing. But I will say this. I will take Sam rapping over Rome rapping any day.
And yes,
Maybe there would be a rap battle at the final tribal.
Yes, that's how they'll decide the winner.
That's how they'll decide.
Not put Rome in the final, please don't do that. So about this whole impromptu rap thing, I still think that one of the best new era ideas was one of Q's from last season, who played a game of hide and go seek to kind of learn how people play the game. And I think the same can be said about somebody who impromptu raps on a season. It can show, like he said it did, that he's playing this game chill, but he can like change pace at any given time. And to me, you don't do it, because anything that shows how you're playing in the game for real, like how good you are at impromptu rapping, freestyling, I guess I should use the real word, says a lot to me. And you guys were right, because Rome also tried to freestyle and it was horrendous.
Yes.
Which shows that he cannot play the game in that way.
But he's actually does that like in real life, like. And it's he couldn't no.
Oh, man.
Rome.
Cut it out.
You're not going to Hollywood. So yeah, a couple things I wanted to get into before we move into the big stuff.
Keep talking and go wash my face.
Okay, go. Fine. I actually wanted to congratulate Brandon for talking about this, because I was going to bring this up. Is we are getting an amazing season, and I think it's a combination. This is my personal opinion. It's a combination of things. Not only are we getting, I think, a really solid cast who are giving us all kinds of amazing moments and fun things, but I also think the producers have listened maybe a bit. They're giving us what we want a little bit more. I like the amulet things. I like what they're showing us. I loved the beware advantage for Sue, and that it exploded red paint everywhere and it's all over her and all over everywhere. And I like those things. I think that because it's manipulated by production, but what a dilemma that gave Sue to and she obviously didn't cover it up well. You can't even get the red off your face.
I just tried, guys.
I know you can't get it up. So you know what I mean? Like, I get this. And so I'm really liking that they're feels like it's all kind of coming together this season. Yes. So what do you think, Alex? Do you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, when, before Genevieve's move and before that I was like, oh man, this season, these people, but then the Genevieve came in and mixed it up, and she just has, such a good read on the game for her to sniff out Keyshawn like that. And so I'm really liking how the gameplay is going. I like that Teeny is now isolated and she has to be a little bit more crafty and really use those social skills, because her and Keyshawn were so powerful. So I just love how it's all unfolding, and I'm excited for the merge and for the shakeup. And I just really, I want to talk about the Genevieve thing, because so perceptive, right? And we were talking about, she was playing this game where she was way back. She was really observant, really, really observant, not even really doing anything, not really mixing it up, is aligned with Rome, didn't really have a lot of other connections. And on this episode, you saw her bridge the gap with Saul, right? Saul ended up voting with her to vote Keyshawn off because he saw the writing on the wall. She also only knew one piece of information, that Keyshawn put her name out there as the distraction, or as as the person that they were saying they're going to put the votes on. And she just inferred from that he didn't respect her game. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a different level, and then that's the only information she knew. And it wasn't confirmed by anybody else. It was only confirmed by Rome. And so she's like, he doesn't have respect for my game. If you're going to put my name out there, you're going to. And so I just thought, wow, Genevieve is winning. My number one pick. She's winning. This is amazing. And that was a good move. And it was a good tribal too, and that Rome, that blatantness, that explicit gameplay to say, I'm not going to steal Saul's vote, because they could have stolen Saul's vote and still voted Keyshawn out. No. I'm going to steal Keyshawn's vote. And we're really going to drive it home of like, you don't F with us, and that's what Rome loves. He loves that like super aggressive, he's trying to play like a mobster. He's trying to play like the true villain of the season, which I can appreciate, but don't like how he is treating Saul. I mean, just not, the look in his eyes when he's talking to Saul. I don't know. I totally agree, and then here's the other thing with Saul. Why doesn't he go to the tribe with somebody like, Rome and be like, put it on them. Teeny, you endorse this. Keyshawn, you endorse this. You endorse how this person is treating me, because if you are aligned with this is a passive, this reflects on you, right? And why is he not fighting for his life and putting it onto those people who do have a conscience and who are, very nice kind of people, and be like, how do you play with this type of person, right? Yeah, but, he ended up surviving by the skin of his teeth. So that's kind of my little assessment of how the season is going. Very, very good. What do you think, Brandon?
So much. The ADHD, it's not good for three tribes to be this active and talk about it for somebody who has ADHD, because there are so many connecting points. Like I think you just brought up in your 1.5 points in the season, and that is how great this season is. As Bree was saying, I think they brought the right people together. The fact that I can't wait for kind of I can't do it. Rome. And who's the guy who thinks he's the kingpin? Gabe. Like, I can't wait for Rome and Gabe to play together later this season. I can't wait for kind of Teeny to meet Andy. I can't wait for like the Guinevere's and the Carolines, the Sues to meet up together, and the Tianas meeting the Annika, is that her name? So like, there's just it's so deep. Kyle's gonna be hiding throughout this whole entire thing, because I don't think there's anybody I'm just like he's going to be tense with. So when it comes to the merge, which is coming here, 3-4 episodes, for those players who are staying a little bit quieter is actually a great thing right now. Guinevere, I think, nailed it at the right time. I'm wondering if it's too early. I wonder if she can kind of sneak back into the layers a little bit. But it sounds like she's on a tribe where she can pull off that move, and those like Teeny is not going to be one to really capitalize on that, I think, because she's playing with a whole lot of heart. She even said at the beginning of this episode that with Asia, she had a hard time even putting her name down, even though it was the best decision, because
I don't think she did put Asia's name down at the end of the day.
She said she put Soul's name down.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just, oh my goodness. I don't even know if I even answered your question, because there's so much going on, Alex.
There is so much going on. Yeah, I have to agree. It's given it this season. It really is. This cast is really showing up and giving us so much. And I'm really, really interested in seeing what merge brings, who's still there, and what merge brings. I don't think so. Last week, I rewatched it. Last week, we were pretty confident in who was going home and who wasn't going home, who was safe.
Yeah.
We were all really sure. I felt really good. There was no way Keyshawn was going to go home. Like, we were all, and here we are, and it's all been mixed up on us. We
were saying Keyshawn was in a position to win.
I know,
because him and Teeny were so tight, and the Rome alliance, and he was. I mean, Genevieve just called it so right. If Keyshawn and Teeny, she's next, and that's literally what their plan was. And then I think too, it is kind of a hard thing. I mean, I think she had to pull the trigger, because that would just make that alliance a little bit too powerful, because Keyshawn and Teeny are both really smart, really personable. So now she's a threat. We'll see if Teeny holds a vendetta against her. But Genevieve, I mean, she's an alpha female, right? So she's the alpha female. So she can go to the Carolines. There might be a confrontation with Sue, or maybe she can kind of, take that lower, kind of that more relaxed approach with Sue, let her kind of be the alpha, right? But she's really more manipulative and maybe more thoughtful than Sue, because Sue's big ego, like you saw that in this episode, right? They lying about her age.
Okay, I want to get into that too.
You don't look 45, okay? No, you're not tricking anybody. She's very, nice look, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? But like, why do you gotta lie about the age? Like, people know you're not.
I'll
fucking
tell
40.
you why. So that's what I wanted to bring. I know you're putting more. Don't put more on.
I'm just saying, do
Brad,
you
it'll
think
be
she
there.
looks younger with the red? Like, is that like
Yeah.
her color?
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. And it's something that I run into as well, is like, oh, you don't look your age. And, you know, people assume I'm a lot younger than I really am. And I don't want to change their opinion. I have told people my age, and I have seen it shift how they talk to me and treat me. I think it's something that hits women of a certain age, and we like to not, because it does change. Like, just keep treating me the same way. I'm no different now that you know how old I am. And I think 45 was not the right age to say. Sorry, because you do not look 45, but
Well, and you're still the oldest on the island. Like,
yeah, I
what does
mean,
it do?
but
She's a grandma. So it's like, you know, like,
yeah,
and it
but
does, I mean, to
there-
me, I guess
know
as a
grandmas
guy,
that
I'm
are
like, I don't
45.
care. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like,
I'm a grandma,
right.
you know? So,
Right.
I mean, I know people at 45 and being grandmas, that's fine. But I think it does. I think a number does change how we view somebody. And I don't think women do it as much, but I think men, when they hear how old a woman is, and I don't know why that is, and it's nothing against men, and it's not all men, it's some, but it's enough that you feel it. And so I think she's trying to protect herself. I think if they perceive they know what her age is, they stop seeing Sue and they start seeing that number and what their expectations are for that age, not looking at who Sue, because she's the most badass 58-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Who does
She's
a lot
super
of
fit.
things. She's
Stronger than
super
a lot of
fit.
the
She's
younger,
doing
like
a lot
all
of
of,
yeah. But I think that will lessen that and because they'll start focusing on her age. I don't know.
You're right. I do agree. Yeah, I see that, because you think about the people and they constantly Sue, she's 50, you know, and like with Julie, right? It was just constantly referencing the age, right? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you're 58 years old out here, and how does Survivor work for a 58-year-old? It's just like, who cares, you know? Like, but I'm more like, I don't really care about the age. It's not really I don't really think about it that much. If she was 58 or 48 or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
I hear your point. Yeah,
but it does shift, and I think it shifts more for people that are younger, for that age group that is in that 20 to 30-year-old, because you know what 58, what 60 looked like when I was little is vastly different than what it looks like now. When you look at people like Johnny Depp is 60, all of these icons, all of these movie stars, all of these people that we see now, hey, guess what? They're all over 50. You know, you've got all these people that are up in those numbers, and it's changing the perspective. But I think the younger generation still looks at it like that number feels like it should be so old, and that lessens their abilities. So
Totally agree with all that. And in Survivor, again, perception's reality, and all you need is one person of 18 to have any opinion about age, and then you utilize it. You don't have to believe and have that same perception as them, but if their perception allows you to go further than the game, no matter if you really feel that way or not, you're going to use that perception. And all you need is one of 18 people to say, hey, this person that is this age is a threat because they're this age and this healthy, and you use it to your advantage. Unfortunately, that's how the game plays out, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think she could have said 50 and been safe, because that's like a bubble number, right? That's right at that. You're not really old yet, but you're just coming out of your 40s. So, and I think it would be more believable for Sue. I don't think she has to lie about her age, but I do think that perception, and I think she's probably run across it a lot in her life, because she does talk about, hey, I'm 58 and I can do all these things. I'm better than you think I am. I think it's because she has heard, oh, you're 58. Like, do you need help?
Can you fly this
crossing
plane?
the street? Like, do you know how to fly a plane? You know what I mean? Like, I think she's run into that in her personal life. And so she's wary of that and trying to throw that off. But it's, 45, it's like the red paint, honey. We know, we see right through you.
I was just at the well, and I just at the well.
Yeah, had the machete. I don't know. Nothing.
The machete. I bit my tongue.
I bit my tongue.
It got all over my entire body. It's just spurting out of your mouth
It's my
everywhere,
favorite
all over the
live all time.
ground.
It is
Yeah.
so good. It is so good.
She should have just ran. She should just like Rome did. Just run off into the woods.
I love every bit of it.
Yeah.
There is something
I like that. I wanted to go and it to fall on their head and they are entirely covered in red paint.
Right.
That'd be fun. And then they're like, "What happened to you? Why are you look like a blue man group, right? The opposite red man group." Yeah.
Blue man group.
Going back to the age thing for one last time. I would agree with that 50 thing as well, based on, you kind of have to know your audience. So I wouldn't even pick an age until I get to know people. And then I would kind of be like, okay, which age should I say if that's the thing I'm going to lie about? I don't think she had to lie, because with the whole Gabe thing, he wanted an older female to team up with. So if she gets too young, then he's like, oh, shoot, I really wanted that older female. And I think Gabe, I think they all know that she's not 45. She is definitely a younger looking 50, whatever she is. But it's you got to watch how you lie, because especially in this game this season, the different, Aisha, John, I think even, and now last night's person, Kishan, it was one little slip up, one little piece of information. It's not like Rome where you have 15 things you could vote him out for, or it's not like Gabe where you have 4 or 5 things. I'm almost thinking that the more you lie this season, maybe the better off you are, because those aren't the people that are going home right now. It's
puzzling. And speaking of puzzles, and failing, thank you. Rome. What do we okay. What do we think about? Did you watch him with each piece? Did you watch Rome? But he wasn't even trying to fit something together. He was, instead of doing like, oh, will this fit in? He's like this, trying to maybe if
that's not it.
Saul's frustration with Rome is always so funny. He's just like, Rome, that's not it. Rome, he's just always just so disappointed and beside himself. And he's always like, I just keep reminding myself, Zen. And it's just completely thrown him. Saul is completely thrown. His game, his attitude. I'm sure he's a really different. I mean, I think he's probably always kind of a little serious, maybe a little rigid. He does come from a medical background. But yeah, Rome has completely thrown his entire game. He's totally off kilter. He doesn't know how to manage his stress and anxiety. We need Ann Greco in here to help him out here.
And Saul is also one of those, going back to the age thing, I think they should bring back more older people than a whole bunch of 20s and 30s. And not that I don't like these players. I think they're fantastic people, and I love watching them. But Saul's problem, what he's running into, Sue's problem, what she's running into, is that the age thing is so severe, and they're so outnumbered by these 20s and 30s something, which I think, I don't think it's ageist or whatever, but I think it's, as far as commonalities and how you're perceived, you can't fight those things. Not that it's unfair. It's the game of Survivor, but it is an issue that I think Saul's having with trying to figure out who he is in this tribe. I think he'd play a completely different game if he had one person at least closer to his age. So that's another dynamic I'm really looking forward to in the merge is, how does Sue and Saul do together? Do they team up, or do they see it as more of a, hey, we can't hide this? And I don't know.
Well, I think that the reason that Saul ended up going with Genevieve is Genevieve's only 32. I mean, she looks, and
she's a
little bit older. She's very mature, and she's like a lawyer, and she comes off as very mature, and she bridged that gap with Saul. And the only reason I think he decided that was, one, the mix up at tribal, but also he does see a path forward with Genevieve, right? And him aligning with Teenie, she's 23, right? She is, alternative, and is Saul going to be able to bridge that gap more than with a lawyer, right? No, you know what I mean? So it made sense, and I was happy to see that Genevieve, was able to do that. Impressive. But yeah, I agree. It is. I do like the older people because of the life experience and not having just one or two, because then it's a token and it's a novelty. And I'm going to team up with the older lady, and just kind of
I see Kyle and Solomon kind of teaming up, to be honest, because
Hmm.
Kyle is so respectful and Saul just
Mm.
really likes that respect, and he likes to, you know what I mean? You could see
Yeah.
that with how he was treated by Rome. He's like, "You're threatening me," and he was like, "No, you're not I'm not threatening you. I'm putting an ultimatum out there." And Rome, I don't think Saul still feels like Rome respects him, even though he apologized or whatever. Yes, they voted together. I don't think it's going to last, but I think that Kyle understands respect, and I think he'll look at Saul and I think that I would see them maybe working together a little bit.
One thing I want to talk about, because I do want to get to all these tribes and figure out who we think is going home, since we've been so right about these picks. But that that is going to our tribe that we thought was going to be the gotta get it together tribe, and that's Gata, who's winning challenges and doing really well. So my question to you guys is, do you have to tell everything to your number one as often as these guys are doing?
What you're referencing there is Sierra, which was weird, so she goes off with Andy, and for some reason she says, "Oh, I'm in an alliance with these 3 women." I think it was just more like she just started oversharing, and it kind of slipped out, and she wants to. She says she doesn't want to build the relationship with Andy, but then is, and maybe he does have this charm. Maybe Andy is a good no, I don't think so. But that was interesting, right? And then she goes, and as much as they protest, no, we're not in a relationship. We are arguing like a married couple. Guys, you're digging your own grave, right? At home, right? It's not gonna. So Sam's gonna be in trouble. I'm sure Sierra can get out of it. But yeah, Sam's in trouble, and it was weird. And then they're bickering. You didn't tell me about the Breadwinners Alliance, but Sam kind of knew. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird kind of situation.
I don't think Sierra takes the Breadwinners very seriously, and I think
I totally agree.
Just threw it out there.
Yeah,
I don't know why she told Andy. I mean, she had a come to Jesus moment. I don't know what it was. She was just like, "I'm just going to tell people things now," but that seemed to be rampant on this episode last night. We'll tell everybody everything.
I do think that you do need to tell your number one everything, and you shouldn't be divulging information to anybody about anything unless your number one knows first, because then it does create that seed of anxiety. You have to have a little bit more forethought than that. If this does get back to Sam, which it does, because Andy and Sam are as close as you can get out there, and maybe another power couple. No, I'm sure. You have to. I mean, so big oversight by Sierra, and just blabbermouth, right? Why are you telling Andy? You don't need to tell Andy anything. You need to tell him vote.
Well, ask
Andy did appreciate it, though.
Ask Andy, Teeny, and Caroline what the heck was up with them. They come back to camp and they go, "Look at my amulet," to everyone. Right. What in the?
That's going to come back and bite them all.
Yeah, that's tough. I wonder if it was so close to merge that they're like, you know what, like we obviously can't say this is an idol. But I was surprised by how much information, how quick they were to tell the honest to God truth.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
Yeah. That must have been something they all decided that, hey, we're going to do this together. Make sure you share everything because this ain't worth it. But that was very quick for all 3 of them to do that. And if one gets voted out, how does that work with this new amulet? If one of the 3 people with the amulet gets voted out,
then the 2 of them have to agree on who they use it for. Okay. And then if it's down to one person, then it's just a full idol. Here's something I read and was searching out this morning, because I was really surprised by this amulet. First of all, they're really cute. I do think I would show that off. It's like a cool keychain. Like, I'd save that. I would never use it. Home, yeah, that was that's not a writer downer, but it's a keeper. I would put that in my Survivor mementos. But the option to not play at all never came up or occurred to them, and they could have declined it and not done anything, and none of them would have lost their votes, and none of them would have had the amulet. Confirmed by Jeff Probst, this option was available. Confirmed by Jeff.
That if they didn't play, they would keep their votes?
They wouldn't get an app. Yeah, if they chose not to. Let me see if I can.
No, I think it was they chose not to play. All 3 of them would lose their vote, and so that's why Teeny, which was weird because
all had to agree.
Oh,
that was the secret.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can find it
Okay.
because I was reading it
Well,
last night, and
we will do a little research on that, but it was interesting because Teeny was in the hard position, and this kind of shows Teeny she's maybe too agreeable because Sierra and Andy were both like, "Well, I don't want to do it," and then Teeny was just like, "Well, I guess it's me." No, you say, "I'm not doing it under any circumstance. It's up to you two."
Mhm.
Like she just was like, "Okay, I accept my fate. Well, I'm going to lose my vote anyway, so I better make." And it's like you got to put up a little bit more. You got to have a little bit better like negotiate. You got to give them an ultimatum.
I would have
Right.
loved to see the
You gotta threaten them.
hourglass, like how full it was or how emptying it was getting, like how close it was for them to make this decision. Because it looked as if Caroline was about to speak up.
Right.
And maybe that was just great editing, filmography, whatever you want to call it. But it looked like she was pretty close. So if I was Teeny, I would have looked one more time in their eyes and see if anyone was going to say something before she did it. I thought she was in a strong enough place to go ahead and accept it, and maybe she thought that was a way to kind of build a relationship with those two people. So that's tough for me. That's tough for me. But I do agree that she is very agreeable, and it might be to her detriment if she can play a cutthroat. She's gonna. Whoever wins this game has to do at least one cutthroat thing in the season, and she's kind of proving out of everybody there, besides maybe Kyle, that she might not be capable of it.
Well, I think it'd be really interesting to see how she does react to the Keyshawn vote. It was her number one. They were super close. And so will Genevieve be able to bridge the gap with her and bring her back in and say, but it's not, I mean, Genevieve doesn't have a super strong case. Her name was put out once. I mean, does that justify voting somebody off? I think it's a really smart move, but I don't know if that justifies it in the mind of Teeny. Is she going to say, yo, yeah, that, you didn't tell me. And, and regardless, I mean, Keyshawn had no recourse. I mean, maybe an idol, because I think that they haven't found the new idol on the tribe because Rome played his, and then they're now looking for it. So, I mean, I guess there was a reason not to tell Keyshawn, or Teeny, I should say. Right. And she has no other options. I mean, she's destitute. Like Saul's not working with her. Because the alliance came from Keyshawn with Saul. Saul was the one and came up with the plan, and so. Right. Yeah. Did you figure out your answer, Brie?
Yeah, it's complicated, and will go through it. It's interesting though. They have to all agree, and it's one of those things where I think it was very, very wrong of Teeny to volunteer herself, especially when you're going to tribal that night, to be in that position with 5 people. Your vote makes the difference. One vote makes that difference. And it could have played out a lot differently. And we always say hindsight's 2020. I do think that when they said this is when Genevieve, your girl, I know you've got the right one there, because she's coming through quiet as a mouse. We found her hiding behind, a tarp at the water well. She'd been there the whole time, apparently. Now she's coming through knowing all this stuff and doing the right moves. But she said this is $1 million decision. And I think that's true.
Well, one thing I hope that they're doing while they're there with those 2 other people is not only look at those people as potential alliance people in the future, like they all kind of spoke of, but also the opposite is, what can you take from that 3-person conversation and kind of use in the future to vote those people off the game? I really hope that Teeny told her lines, and maybe it wasn't shown, that both Andy and Caroline are pretty apprehensive players, are pretty like, oh, let's wait this one out. Both of them were pretty skittish about even considering the option of risk. And I'm hoping that she's putting that in her back pocket and says later on, hey, these people nowhere close to being ready to make a risky decision. And again, whether it's true or not is not the situation. It's, can she utilize that decision by their part as saying to someone else, hey, like, we can't trust those people later on. Let's get them out of here, because they're never going to be in our alliance, because they won't consider risking anything for anybody else.
I mean, you are seeing I do think that Teeny, Saul, Rome, and Genevieve, I mean, you don't really have a relationship between Rome and Saul, and I don't think it's going to be repaired. And I think he will always hold a vendetta against him, just for the treatment. And, even if they said they were aligned. But I mean, Teeny, Saul, and Genevieve are a pretty strong alliance. I mean, if Teeny can say, okay, I see, understand why you did it. Team up with Saul. Those three, pretty smart, pretty good players. And not the players that you would think. They're all pretty different. Now they're all on the same tribe. And so there's obviously the inference that they're all together. But maybe Teeny lies and, they voted off my number one. And, that was a really strong time. And now they're kind of reduced down to 4 players. And so they're going to go up against Gata, right? Yellow. And they actually are in a power position and they are pretty tight. And you do have the 3 girls and they're coming in to the merge with numbers. Well, not entirely because they got Blue, which I think has the same number, but Blue is kind of fractured too because Gabe is so kind of confrontational with people. You see in the next episode, the previous next episode, he's confronting Tayana, right? And then Kyle really doesn't like him because, Gabe's kind of a jerk to him.
Yeah,
so,
I think. Go ahead.
No, so I think it'd be interesting. I'm just excited for the merge and excited for the mix-up. It looks like they're going to do a tribe mix-up, so they're going to go to 2 tribes on the next episode.
My question would be, what do you guys think it's going to be, and what do you guys hope it's going to be as far as this new Survivor spin?
I think they're gonna. I'd like to see them put everybody into the Yahtzee cup, shake the dice, and then just roll it out and see where everybody lands. Because I think they all need that right now. I think that Genevieve's going to keep Rome around as long as it serves her, but I think she'll cut Rome whenever she needs to. I think he's important to her game in a lot of ways, but not the ultimate important. I'm going to be teamed up with you. He's a shield and he's loud and flamboyant and he gets a lot of attention and he has a lot of big opinions. I think having him on your side is better than having him against you. But then when it comes down to it, I think Genevieve will cut Rome in a heartbeat when the right time comes. It's like your turn to go. I don't care. I think that Genevieve is that type of player. I actually saw, and Alex, you're going to love this. I saw a little bit of Parvati in Genevieve this last episode, just with the way she was playing. I definitely got a little tinge of that. I'm not going to say full on, but yeah, I think I see that because I think she is being really meticulous. I think I think you were right when you picked her. I think he was a really strong player, but I hope that she teams up with Carolyn. I would like to see the 2 of them at the end. I think Sue's going to end up wherever she needs to end up, that she's going to stick around for a little bit because you have to remember as they shake things up and we get close to that merge, people are shifting their thoughts, right? From we need a strong alliance and physical strength and ability now hurts you and doesn't help you, right? So that's when those big players will go. And so I think Sue is just strong enough, but I think she will definitely be I think she's a strong player to have with you. So yeah. Teeny, Sue, Caroline, and maybe Gabe could be a nice little pack.
Gabe has survived, and it's because they haven't really gone to tribal very much, and he was smart to take his 2 little baby birds, wounded baby birds, and kind of align with them. And he did make a good call on that. And he is cutthroat, and in a season where it seems like it's a pretty cutthroat season, right? We're seeing some good play. That could really serve him. And there's kind of these loose ends here, right? These people, and so Gabe, he could be in a good position, or maybe he's too much of a threat because he is a bigger guy. Not the big, but there's not a lot of big physical. I think Kyle could be a big physical threat because he's kind of lean, and you've seen him, climb up the box pretty good, and he can definitely roll around in the mud type of stuff. And so I think he could be a physical threat. Genevieve, it goes back to smile theory, big smile, a little bit above average in all categories, right? So and smart, and has that ability to be like, Keyshawn's a big threat. I need to get him out. I know I'm going to piss people off. I know Teeny's not going to like it, but it is what it is. And I'm going to do it and take a big move. And it was entirely her move. And how she was able to persuade both Rome and Sue, or both Rome and Saul.
Absolutely.
Right. That's big. To be able to influence Rome like that and to change his vote. It shows that he isn't as hard-headed, right? And does trust Genevieve in that way, does have trust people. And you saw his opinion change with Teeny on the previous episode. Teeny completely switched his opinion to want to vote off Saul, but they still ended up voting off Asia, right? And then he was just babysat Saul the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and to be able to take two males, we've talked about this, who are combative against each other and make them agree for a second. Because that was, I mean, the whole babysitting thing, that was rough for Saul, very rough. But also do so in a short amount of time. And, you know, those are her two people who she's in the alliance with more. And I think both of those guys think that that's my number two. I think Rome definitely thinks number two. Saul definitely thinks this is my number two. And they don't like each other. That is a fantastic place to be for Guinevere. Fantastic.
I was going to say the same thing.
I think she, for making such a big move, I think she is the safest. She is the most for making a big move like that, and to be that safe is rare.
The other thing too is Teeny's out there. She doesn't want to align with Rome. Too much of a loose cannon, and Saul has no power.
Right.
Because from Teeny's perspective, Genevieve and Rome are together. Yep. Thick as thieves. So she's outnumbered. So she has to align with them on the next one, unless she's going to do a 2-2. You know, if they do go to tribal, and it's going to mix up, and so she'll be, you know, on a different tribe likely. But, you know, so yeah, I agree with you. Like, masterful, you know, as far as Genevieve in a perfect position. And yeah. So we've proven it's impossible for us to figure out who's going home next week.
Maybe we should all pick, you know, who are our three people. And it can be from each tribe, who is the safest person, the person that we think has the least chance of going home.
This would be the person, who does go home. But
Jeff.
Jeff.
I'm picking Jeff. I picked Keyshawn last week.
Hey, this season, I bet he goes home, man. Like, Sue killed
well, let's say there is a tribe mix-up. You might see them wanting to vote off because Yellow is going in, I believe, with a little bit, you know, a little bit stronger of a tribe, I think, perception-wise. And so I think you might see them try to break up Sierra and Sam, right? Because there is that perception from the other tribes that they're working together, that they're tied, they're a survival couple. So I think it could be Sierra.
Is the safest, or is one?
Well, sorry, that was the one who voted off. I think, I mean, I think Caroline's pretty well. She's out there, right? So she seems kind of like a weak link, maybe an easy pick to get off. Ooh, this is a hard one. Rachel could also be an easy get off. Annika could be an easy get off. Maybe Andy. Maybe Andy is actually the safest out of everybody.
See, that's what I'm saying. Is that. I mean?
He's the hero of the season.
You screwed up as much as you want to, and they're going to keep you.
Yeah, he's already shown his colors. I'm hoping. I would actually say Kyle maybe is the safest for me.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and that's how the season's going, is because we thought Kyle was, you know, because of his mess up with TK being associated with him, that was going to be a problem. I will say on Yellow Tribe, gosh, unless they do this two tribe thing. If they stay together, I think Sierra is in the best position she could possibly be, because she has relationships with everybody there, which you could say the same maybe for Keyshawn, and he's gone. So I'm going to, and maybe because she's my girl. So I'm going to say Sierra. I'm going to say, gosh, I think Gabe is in almost the best position, which is weird for me to say. Again, he's mine, so maybe I'm completely playing a bias, but I just think that there's so many tiffs between like Tiana and Sue not trusting each other very well, because she saw the red paint and stuff like that and didn't trust her. And then for the red tribe, Guinevere. She's got to be in the best place, because she's the little puppet master that we never saw coming. And I think those are my three safe players next week.
I have a feeling that Tiana and Teeny would get along well. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just feel a vibe there that they could get along well. They could connect on a level, and that because Tiana's kind of on the outside, Teeny's kind of on the outside. I feel like they could get along well. And then it's a matter of, well, who do they team up with? And we are going into the merge with majority female, right? So there's more females, and there's, you know, pretty good players too. So, I mean, maybe you'll see. Usually doesn't work out like that, but you know, I don't think, I don't know if any of the females are like, we have to get this one out, right?
No, I don't think they're like that either.
You know what I mean?
Except for the breadwinners.
Except for the breadwinners.
But you're right about that, Brandon, that Sierra is insulated. You know, if the breadwinners do feel like Sierra is with them,
she's in a good place.
They're going into the, you know, with numbers, and she really has the numbers on both sides. With Sam, I mean, she's both, I do believe she's with Sam and with Andy more, but I think the perception from the girls is that they are the breadwinners, right?
I agree.
So,
Bree, who do you think are your 3 safe players next week?
Well, I have to pick Caroline. She's the only one I have left, but I think she's in a pretty good spot. I hope. I don't want to say that, but I hope. I think Kyle's in a really good spot too. So of the blue, I think Kyle probably in the safest position. For red, it's definitely Genevieve because she's, she's just a puppet master and she's so smart. I think that'll keep her safe. I don't think Teeny has much of a shot at this right now. She's just got to fly under the radar and try to stay out of it. And I kind of agree on Andy just kind of sailing along. A lot's going to depend on what comes out of the shakeup next week of what they're doing and who ends up where. And if it's, I don't believe it's merged. We have way too many people, but I think it's also going to be some interesting things. So how they end up and how that shakes out will depend a lot. But I think Andy is kind of like,
well, the reason it might be because he has one of the amulets.
I know.
So he's actually now a target for Teeny, for Caroline. They want to get him off. That would also weaken yellow, which they're going in with numbers, but it's not going to be numbers. So they're going to do right. It's 13 right now. Sometimes they do merge at 12, and then one other person gets voted off before they do jury. But I think the jury will be 10. So I think there's probably like 1, 2, maybe 3 before merge. But I think there's probably 2 more. I think it's going to be this. And then
Here we go.
I think it's gonna be
Haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be a great season. It's so dynamic. There's so many things going on, and this is a good season. And it's not boring. It's not. There's a lot of cool things happening. So good season.
Yeah, I think it's a really good season. I think we've seen a lot of things, but I have one question for you guys. What are we eating for dinner?
Wow.
Are we keeping chickens around, or are we following Sam's route and are we're gonna have some barbecue going? What would you do?
Much contested. This has been a theme in Survivor is do you kill the chickens, right? Tie, right? I agree. You kill the chickens because the tribes are mixing up. The tribes are mixing up, and kill all 3. Eat them all right now.
3.
Tomorrow you might not be on that tribe anymore.
Big feast. It's only 26 days. There's been seasons where those chickens don't lay any eggs. You kill the chickens.
And they get away and they run away. We already saw one get loose.
Yep.
Like, I agree. I think there's a lot you can get out of a chicken for a long time. I think they could have a couple big meals out of it, because I'm all about chicken stew. So you make that big, you grill the chicken and you put the pot on and you let it simmer for a long time. Yes. And so later on you come back and you're also getting more from it. You're getting a couple meals out of it. I think everyone gets really well fed and you appreciate that you have that, but you don't keep, and it's hard, right? And the longer you keep them, the more attached people get to them. I love chickens. Like, I think they're amazing creatures and I think they're just super cool. But like, I also don't, if I'm on an island, I'm eating a chicken. So it is what it is. So.
Well, and how do you divide up 1 egg? Or like 3 even, right?
Right. And you can cook an egg wrong so fast. So whatever. I agree.
As long as you have fire, we're getting those chickens.
Well, and the other thing, it's not humane to keep 3 chickens in that little tiny thing all together. So you should kill one. Just, it's the humane thing to do. Just joking. Also, total calories of an entire chicken versus 1 egg. I think that's probably 20 times more calories, than an egg. And then, like you said, 26 days. They're obviously going to be changing tribes. This is never brought up. What if we change tribes tomorrow and I don't get to eat a chicken? But, Sam wants to eat the chicken. You have all the, people no, don't. You can't be the guy who goes and chops the head off of a chicken and you're like, this guy's a jerk. Why would he do that? Why would he kill my chicken? I love these. Yeah. So,
they don't lay enough eggs for it to be worth it, even with 3 chickens.
Right.
And if you are going to eat one and keep the other 2, then it's just like, what are you doing? Can you imagine just eating half an egg? That's it.
Do you think
so? A whole chicken is Whole chicken is 2,000 calories. An egg is 78 calories.
Yeah, you kill a chicken. You kill a chicken. Do you think that chicken provides any entertainment value to keep it around for maybe a day and then make the cooking, or do you think you just don't fall in love with it? Like
Somebody should put like little leashes around them and take the chickens for a walk down the
go
beach.
take
That'd
a
be
walk.
cool.
Yeah.
They could be like what was the guy's name, and have a little chicken chariot. What was the guy's name? The guy that you had the Funko Pop out of?
Me?
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, was it Keith?
Yeah, Keith.
Yeah.
I feel like Keith should have did the chicken chariot.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Who would have
Right?
done it? All right.
Imagine that motorcycle being pulled by 3 chickens.
Yeah, the tuk-tuk. Yeah.
Yeah, the tuk-tuk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love it. Rest in peace, buddy.
Well, that when I go on Survivor, that'd be my argument, guys. Guys, simple calculation here. 2,000 calories per chicken, 78 calories per egg. What are we doing here, right?
I agree.
Well, just so you guys understand the rearing of chickens, they also need a really healthy diet and a safe place for them to lay eggs. So how many eggs have we seen like that chickens have actually laid on this? Like, I don't remember there being maybe more than 1 or 2 eggs, to be honest with you.
Season's too short.
It's actually bizarre that they don't kill them. And like, it seems like it's the norm that they don't kill the chickens. Like,
well, because it's animal
mean.
welfare and all of that stuff.
Right.
But like, yeah, I say you
I have a
kill them
question.
all.
Has
the first
Sam
day.
ever eaten a chicken before? Would it be his first
or maybe
chicken?
maybe he's never had an egg, and that's why
that's why he didn't want the eggs. He's like, I've never eaten an egg before. That's scary.
Yeah, let's not do it.
He's obviously never wrapped before either.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, we're coming up on time, guys.
Fun episode. You guys are always so fun. Yeah, I think we're in for an adventure for this whole season. I'm excited to see where it goes. If you've got an opinion, if you don't agree with us, we would love to hear about it in the comments below. We read all of them, all 4. We've read them all 5 times. Please leave us a comment. We'd love to chat with you about Survivor, or come on and give us your opinion and let us know. We love having you guys join us every week, following every week's Survivor episode, which we're loving. Tell us what your favorite episode is. Tell us what you like and who you pick for the winner. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Alex and Brandon. Always, Brandon, baby wipes. Yeah, use some lotion actually, or some oil-based, and that'll help. Yeah, get that off of your face.
Love you, Sue.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye.